Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Paradoxic, and welcome back to My Hero Academia. Season 1, Episode 8 we're on this time, titled Bakugo's Start Line. Last time we had a very fun episode. We had had Deku versus Kacchan, the official first kind of fight with powers that, the first official fight we've seen between them, like, very minimally using powers. Bakugo was the only one utilizing his powers to very nearly his full extent, using his usual rockets, and he had, like, rocket launchers in his wrist through his gauntlets that collected his sweat and then blasted fire out of those, so that was cool. Deku, because he has little to no control over his power just yet, he didn't really know how to focus it. The closest he's come to focusing is actually putting it just into his finger and then launching the ball into outer space, or at least, into the fucking stratosphere. But yeah, he didn't really use his powers that much. I think he used it at the very, very end. He counter blocked a kind of explosion from Bakugo and tore the building apart, allowing Ochako to actually retrieve the rocket and save the day and everything, because their mission was still given by All Might to actually stop the villains and or to secure the payload. So they did both. They secured the payload. There was no capture tape around Izuku, around Kacchan or Tenya. So yeah, and I think it was a greater episode because we saw the backstory to their kind of growth. Like they grew up together. They were in the same neighborhood. And from a young age, they were very, very clearly opposites. Like Izuku was the kind to kind of tag along to Bakugo's group and stuff. But Bakugo, he was from childhood, he was a very, very kind of egotistical kind of kid, and the people around him kind of indulged in that. They put him on a pedestal, told him how great he was and how, when he got his powers, he was amazing and everything. So as he grew up, he's never really been told no. He's never really been told he needs to be better or do better or anything. He's always been told that he's the greatest, and that's just how it is. So he's very easily let that go to his head. And the last episode, we saw him actually wanting to take down Izuku even more, because now Izuku has a quirk. Izuku grew up without a quirk, wanting so badly to have a quirk, and now all of a sudden he has a quirk, and that doesn't sit too right with Bakugo. Bakugo feels like he's been tricked his entire life. Like Izuku wasn't really trying to fight back, or that he was just had like hiding a quirk from him the entire time. So I think that's a nice kind of story like a story switch. Like the first quarter of the show, we had him like struggling to actually find a way to get powers, but he still applies to the US school anyway. And then halfway through, we see him actually having a power, actually being given All for One by All Might, being given All Might's quirk, and actually him now like struggling to possess it. And I think that's an even better way to go about it too. Like he actually can't use it just yet as much as he would like to. He can't use it all the time. He can't use it just whenever, because it will break his body if he goes too far, which it did. Like that very first punch he threw, it broke him. So yeah, it's been a very, very nice story switch. Yeah, I mean, that was just the first. That was the first of presumably many fights we'll see between Deku and Kacchan, and it was like the most kind of, I'd say probably the most emotionally charged, because they were fighting after years of like tension and torment between the two of them, especially Kacchan tormenting Deku. So it's going to be the first of few, and I think I would enjoy more a fight between them when Deku actually has better control of his powers and he can actually use them, and then we get full on, because I mean that's going to be an even bigger like blowback, but still it's going to be even more fun to watch it when Deku actually knows how to control his powers and how to use them, and then Kacchan knows exactly what he's up against. So I look forward to those fights more. But yeah, by the end of it, they passed the test. They secured the payload and everything. So yeah, the heroes in that group. There were other pairs as well, but the heroes in this particular match won the match. Izuku and Ochako. So yeah, fun stuff. That's pretty much all I have from the last one. So episode 8, Bakugo Start Line. Let's go.
How does the old saying go? They may have lost the battle, but they won the war.
This class is intense.
Yeah, it is intense. The life of a hero is intense. All Might made that very clear in the last one. Yeah.
I
know. Yeah, he's gonna need a super kiss. He's gonna need one big, super duper kiss for that. Yeah.
If we didn't hold back at all,
oh god.
Would beat me with his quirk?
Oh jeez, calm down, dude.
Bakugo, cool your jets. Let's go review.
Literally call your jets.
Win or lose, you can always take something away from an experience like this, as long as you're open to learning.
I don't know if he is. I mean, I might be judging too harshly, but at the same time, it's like...
Well, despite the results, the MVP of this exercise is young Ida.
Ida is the MVP.
Shouldn't it be one of the heroes in...
Ida was fully prepared for his opponent's arrival.
Yeah, that's true.
Strategy and never lost sight of his mission.
He planned ahead.
Dummy weapon, even if he was spoiled in the end.
Yeah, he was fully method. He was fully method.
Technically, the hero team won, yes.
This girl really has a good eye on her.
Yeah, she's perceptive.
Yes.
Perceptive, yeah.
Well, you overlooked a few things.
That
Young
jawline.
Ida relaxed a little bit in the exercise.
I mean, I know it's drawn by people, but still, that's an immaculate jawline.
Momo Yaoyorozu.
Momo
Is
Yaoyorozu.
admitted to the hero course based on recommendations.
Time to blow this
Yaoyorozu.
joint.
Hagakure's using her quirk to our advantage, but it's kind of weird to know there's a naked girl standing by me. What exactly am I supposed to
It's
do?
like translucent from The Boys.
Look, okay?
Oh,
What's the
Jesus.
difference?
Look alive, kids. Show
Well,
us
she
how
knows you're
you
looking at her. It's still creepy.
More people. Let's go.
Damn. Yeah, it's like translucent from The Boys. And you got webbed arms over there. Yeah.
Meizo Shoji.
Meizo
Quick
Shoji.
super arms.
Both are barefoot.
Oh, oh.
Invisible one plans to sneak up.
He's got two mouths.
Safety.
Oh, now we got Icicle. Now we got Icicle.
But we've already won.
How so? You're just freezing up the whole building? Oh, yeah, footprints, yeah, oh. I love the red eye, though. I love that red eye touch, yeah.
Try yourself. Heat too?
Oh, heat as well. So not just ice, heat too. Oh. Shoto
Another
Todoroki.
of the 4 admitted to the hero course based on recommendations.
Shoto
Quirk,
Todoroki.
half cold, half hot.
Half cold, half hot. Oh, okay, that's why it's hot. Okay, that's why it's half and half.
Range
Yeah.
of his abilities is
It's like a Pokemon. It's like a walking Pokemon. Oh, Shadows. Team H. Team C. Jesus Christ. Team G. She just plugged her ears into the wall. And electricity? A lot of cool quirks. A lot of cool quirks. Yeah. They're literally quirky quirks.
Mr. Aizawa was kind of a buzzkill.
Yeah.
I'm happy to bring such staggering positivity to my alma mater. That's all for now, folks. I
Yeah.
should go and check on young Midoriya's progress. Now,
Yeah, he
watch
definitely
out,
sounds like a
boys.
celebrity,
He's got
yeah.
someone to me.
Whoa. Oh, you're gonna... Oh, he's gonna turn back
Can't
into...
this form any longer?
Yeah, he's gonna turn back into his other... Yeah. All Might has issues of his own. He has to maintain this whole charade. This facade. Whichever one you want to go with. He has to maintain all of that. In the middle of, you know, everyone else seeing him as the good old All Might.
You're right, recovery girl.
Oh, she knows that he looks like
Don't
that.
quit apologizing to me.
Recovery girl knows.
Exhausted from his classes. I know you passed your powers on to this boy, but you can't spoil him.
Oh, she knows
I am
too.
trying not to play favorites. Only a select few people know the secret of One for All. There's you, the principal, and a very close friend of mine. Young Midoriya too, of course, but no one else knows the truth about my powers. If they knew I wasn't, the temptation of this power could corrupt our society.
Yeah. Knowing it can be passed down would make more people want it.
For mankind's safety.
Yeah, that surprised me. I don't think we'd get that kind of reveal. So she knows, and some other people know too.
You are now going to be a part.
I gotta say, I know there are a lot of people out there who, you know, don't favor dubs as much as subs, but the voice actors do a great job. So far, the voice actors have done a tremendous job actually pulling this off effectively. For my experience, anyway. Yeah, they've done a great job.
Do you hear me?
He's got a very pointy nose.
You did a great job dodging.
You guys really turned up in the first match, so none of us held back in our rounds either.
Damn.
But I suppose.
Dodging was like, whoa!
He has admirers.
Hey, I'm Ezreal Kirishima.
Friends.
Going over training results while you were in
Yeah.
recovery.
Hey guys!
Whoa.
You pop out of.
Hey, he's got friends now. He's got friends.
Trade is so noisy.
Eden never relaxes, does he?
No.
So,
He's a
anyway,
model student,
wanna
though.
grab a
He's a
bite
model student. You can
sometime?
tell that much.
What kind of stuff you like?
I haven't told anyone this secret.
Oh, is he gonna
Even
tell?
my mom.
Is he gonna tell him about All for One?
have to tell you something.
He's gonna tell him about All for
Maybe
One.
then you'll understand what's been going on.
Oh, damn.
I didn't want to use it against you in the exercise, but in the end, it was the only way that I had a chance of winning.
Is he even angrier now?
I've still got a lot to learn.
He's
I
telling
know
you the
that.
truth and you're still...
That's why I'm here. I'll work until I have full control of this borrowed quirk. And I'll finally beat you with my own power.
Oh.
Oh crap, what am I saying?
Yeah, what are you
I need to
saying?
tell him that I wasn't tricking him.
I lost, and to make matters worse, it was to you.
Yeah, losses
Came in
aren't
first in
that...
the exam.
They aren't to be ashamed
But
of.
that's not enough. I even agreed with what that girl said. My attack was so stupid. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it!
Yeah, that's your
Damn
own
it!
fault. You were acting on emotion.
Enjoy that win, Deku.
But he's
You'll never
leaving
beat me
still.
again, you bastard.
Is it the end of the day, or is he gonna come back? Whoa!
Go! I found you!
Oh, yeah.
Save your speeches. I'll be more famous than you, and I'll do it without your help.
No, more famous than All Might. Can you really just let him leave like that? He's signed up to a school. Can he really just walk
Being a
out?
teacher is hard. What were you saying to Bakugo before I arrived so heroically?
Oh, nothing
That's
special.
debatable, All Might.
I'm
Yeah.
so curious.
Fashionably,
Why
not
don't you tell me all the
heroically.
juicy details?
Okay, okay. Yeah, okay, wow. End of the episode. Let me move this, end of the episode. Okay, so, yeah, so we met the other heroes. We met the other people, the other students with the quirks in this episode, and we met Momo Yaoyorozu. Yeah, so she was hella perceptive. She was very, very perceptive. She was watching the thing. She was all, she was studying each and every member, seeing how they actually played out. And she said, she agreed with Ida being the MVP of the entire match. And yeah, it made sense. He from the beginning, he was all about actually playing by the rules, doing what they were meant to do, coming up with the strategy and everything. And stuff, and he used Achaka's quirk against her, removed anything in the room that she could touch to make it float or anything, just him and the rocket. And he had speed, so when she made her jump, he still moved the rocket to the other side of the room. But he was method the entire time. He was super method. So he was the only one who actually stood by and actually did what he was meant to do. But Bakugo, I think Bakugo was but I think in between them, Ochaka actually, she said, she watching her play, she actually she gave up her position too quickly by I think she was coughing or laughing or something. Like she made some kind of noise and she exposed her position, which kind of gave Ida time to prepare against her, see what she would do and stuff like that. So that was but then Bakugo and Izuku, the faults between them were obvious because Bakugo was lighting that match. He was the one who started off that whole kind of face-off, like that emotionally charged face-off. He was the one, trying to pay back his promise of beating Izuku with his powers. And then Izuku had to try and evade him. Izuku knew he couldn't use his powers, or else he'd actually try, or else he'd end up just knocking himself out more than he'd inflict any damage onto Bakugo. So he knew that he just had to evade his powers pretty much. So Bakugo took up a lot of that time and a lot of that space and a lot of that effort trying to take out Bakugo instead of actually doing the hero's job. He was just trying to get back at Izuku for the sake of getting back at him. So yeah. But yeah, we don't know what her quirk is yet, but I mean I doubt her quirk is being super perceptive. That's just like a kind of again, perception is just a perception type of thing. Just how you actually paying attention, watching what happens, watching what people do. So it's not really much of a quirk. I mean, super thinking could be a quirk. Super thinking, seeing stuff really fast, and then training yourself to react equally fast. But her perception is just her perception. But what her quirk is yet, we don't know. I don't know if they actually mentioned it. Let me go back and check. Yeah, they didn't mention that. They mentioned her name, but not so much her quirk. So I guess we'll see in the coming episode. Or if they did and I missed it, if you guys know what it is, then feel free to actually jot it down below in the comments. But yeah, I think they didn't really mention that. But they did introduce us to other people. They didn't introduce us to a couple of other people. I think it's Metso Shuji, I think it is. That the guy with the three webbed arms, and the guy who like he grew two extra mouths out of the back of his head. Like he can grow extra limbs. He can duplicate his body parts on the end of his body parts. So he can grow extra arms, and then on the ends of those arms he can duplicate ears and fingers and all sorts of other stuff. So he has all of that stuff. Then there's Shoto Todoroki. Half cold, half hot. Yeah, now the half and half actually makes sense. I was wondering, I mean, they like to start off with they show the ice. I was wondering, like, is it meant to be like he's half human, half ice being? Like, is that what his thing is? But no, he can freeze stuff up and he can melt it away too. So that came in very, very handy. But yeah, at the end when they all befriended Izuku, they actually said that watching him unleash his all, or at least most of his all, onto Bakugo at the end of his fight, like it actually inspired them to actually not really hold back with their powers either, and to do whatever necessary to complete the objective and to secure the payload, to stop the villains and everything. So they actually so him actually using his one right at the end, right at the very end, they actually encourage them to do the same thing. But with them, obviously, they have their quirks. They were born with them. They have much better control of them. So it's less about evading and more about actually, using strategy and, having awareness of the situation and all that sort of stuff. And then there were there were other people. There was the guy who grew shadows out of his back, and there was like the girl who plugged her ears or something. Like she had like cables come out of her ears, and she plugged that into the wall. And then we had the girl who's invisible. She's basically translucent from the boys. She's invisible, but whatever clothes she's wearing shows up. Like she can't turn her clothes invisible. So in order to effectively be invisible, she has to actually be naked. So God knows how she felt in that situation. Actually, having to be invisibly naked in front of the guy. And yeah, I think like in my first kind of viewing of that power would be again in The Boys. But The Boys is it's a very different show. Not only is it live action, it's much more mature than My Hero Academia. So yeah, it's very, very, very different. And I doubt that they'd actually showcase this quirk in that kind of light. But I think they still show that it can still be pretty awkward, like especially with her teammate knowing that she is actually naked even if she's invisible. So yeah, that's her quirk. But yeah, I think this was the worst. This was easily the worst job that Izuku had done, knocking himself out with his own powers since the arena, when he took out the 4-point, when he took out the 0-point, the 0-point villain. He took that one out and then knocked himself out on the ground. But with this one, I'd argue that. I'd argue that this one was more of a somewhat more of a controlled environment, since he was, it was like a PvP match. It was a PvP match essentially, so somewhat more of a controlled environment. We saw them rolling him out on a stretcher afterwards and taking him to the recovery room, or to recovery girl's nurse's room, and yeah, and I think this one he actually had to be out for the rest of the day. He actually had to be knocked out for like the rest of the day, and he woke up in the later afternoon. With his hand in a cast and a bandage and everything. So yeah, and he's already become he's a frequent resident. He's a frequent visitor to the nurse's room with this quirk. And yeah, I think in the future it's not really gonna go away anytime soon. I think the more he uses his power, it's clear that and I think it's the more he uses power, the more he actually has to visit the nurse's room. But I think it's becoming clearer that the more he uses it, like it feels kind of like a sacrifice he has to make. It feels kind of like a sacrifice, like he has to use it more so that his body gets more used to it. But in doing so, he does kind of lose his endurance and a bit of his health each time. Like he actually does take a significant bit of blowback from his own power, but he has to use it in order for his body to get used to it each time. So it's like sort of like a no pain no gain type thing. So I wonder if by the end of the season, or at least towards the end of the season, we might see him actually gaining some sense of control. Like maybe he does deliver a punch and then his arm gets knocked out, but he's still standing and he's still able to fight in other means. Like he still knocks out whatever body part he uses, but still he actually does still keep fighting. Because he has somewhat more endurance and he still has more fight left in him. So I think that might be a cool way to see it develop. But But Recovery Girl knows. Recovery Girl and several people, All Might said, several people know about All Might's true form. Several people know about All Might's true form, but only 4 people know about his actual power. So, yeah, several people know about his other forms, and then, I mean, yeah, I think those 2 things are his closely guarded secrets. His other form and his power, the truth behind his power are the 2 kind of, they're like the 2 closely guarded secrets he has, and the truth, obviously, I think, seeing him as his, as his All Might, seeing him in his All Might form with his powers in action, seeing him in action is what the world knows him as, and it's what's best. And I think the way he sees it is what's best for the world. If they found out the truth, then everything would change, and especially his All for One thing. So the principal, a close friend, Recovery Girl, and Izuku are the 4 people that know about All for One and its history. So the principal knows. I think, yeah, that one kind of surprises me. Like, it, I mean, well, the principal is his employer. The principal is basically his employer, so he would, like, I think his employer would somewhat have a right to know, and especially if your form, like, his powers are somewhat more unstable now, because he can't maintain it for very long. He can only maintain it for hours at a time, and those hours right now in this context would be suited to the class hours. So after that, when he has to actually disappear to actually turn back into his original form and seeing how his power works, he's seeing how much of his power he has left too, because he gave like 1 strand of hair to Izuku to swallow, and then that gave Izuku powers. So that one gives Izuku powers, and I think, because of the way All for One works, each time it's passed down, it's made more powerful. It's made more and more powerful. It's added to each time. So Izuku's power is only going to grow the more he uses it, the more his body gets used to it. But then All Might still has his own power. He still has All for One in himself. So, that makes me wonder, right? Are all the other people who have held All for One, do they still have their power too? Because, All Might still has his, and I don't see him dying anytime soon. He has health conditions, sure, but he's not on the verge of death because of them. Like, even when he turns into his frail, sickly figure, he can still live. Like, he's malnourished, so that's why he can't actually, maintain everything else, and he has those health conditions, but like, there's no sign of him dying or him needing to step down from this mantle. He just can't really be All Might as long as he used to be able to. So, there's no word of what happened to all the other people who held the All Might mantle, who held All for One. Like, what happened to them, if they gave up their powers completely, or if they just retired, or what happened, or if they died. Because this very much seems like the kind of power where, if one wielder does die, then they pass it down to their successor before dying. Like, seems like it could be used for that kind of origin story too. But with All Might, it's just a matter of him knowing that he can't really be the same wielder as he once was. So having someone else with the power would be even more, it would be even more useful. Having more than one, having one who's actually stable somewhat. Yeah, and I think that then makes sense. Like, Izuku's body was a quirkless body. Izuku's body was completely quirkless, so he had to train him up. He had to train him up physically and mentally to actually handle the quirk. But then, would a person who had the quirk already be able to handle it better? Like, if he gave it to Bakugo, I mean, giving it to Bakugo would be a terrible idea, but if he did, would he be able to handle it even better? Or, like, if he gave it to anyone, any of the other students at UA, would they be facing the same backlash? Because I think All for One is unarguably the greatest power in this world. It's the greatest power that exists. It's been passed down from hero to hero, generation to generation. So that power alone would be harder to handle. But would someone with a quirk have an easier time handling the backlash, if there was any? Better than Midoriya? Like, would that be a thing? I feel like it would be because of them having a pre-existing quirk that their body already knows. Like, like, quirks are different and all, but they must all have some kind of foundational level to them, like some kind of, like, like, just some kind of foundational basis that actually allows them to work on somewhat the same kind of power level. So yeah, but they know. So the principal knows. The close friend. Like, I was questioning something, right? I was questioning who the close friend was, as you likely would, and seeing the silhouette. Let me go back to the nurse's station clip. Yeah. So the principal looks like a freaking thingy, like a mouse with those ears. So recovery goal knows, Izuku knows. The close friend. At first glance, I thought, like, is the close friend One Punch Man? The guy from One Punch Man? I haven't seen One Punch Man, but you know, I've seen pictures of One Punch Man, so it looks like the head shape, especially the head shape, looks like One Punch Man. Yeah, because One Punch Man is bald, so it looks like One Punch Man. Is that who it is? I mean, I doubt it. I don't know if anime shows do crossovers, if that's kind of in their forte, or if they're ever invested in that kind of thing. I don't know if they ever do crossovers like that. But like at first glance, I was like, wait, is that One Punch Man? I don't know what his actual name is. Wait, no, I do. Is it Saitama? Saitama, I think so. Saitama, I think probably. But is that Saitama? Is that the guy from One Punch Man? I don't know. I mean, again, at first glance, it looks like it. The head shape and everything, and it looks like, you know, that like you can see, even with the silhouette, you can see there's like a drawing for a collar and everything. Like he has a cape and everything, so that could be that. But I don't know. Maybe not. But I don't know. It's a bald person, clearly a bald person, and then the principal again looks like a freaking mouse. But yeah, only these four people know the truth behind All For One. Only they know the truth behind All For One. So the fact that, you know, he wasn't born with it, he was actually given it by someone else, and that person was given it before them. Like it's a cycle of heroes that goes down, and each time it's passed down, it becomes more and more powerful. So yeah. Yeah, so I think this is a very different kind of, this is somewhat of a different secret in the sense that usually when superheroes have secrets, is usually protecting their secret identity, you know, protecting the ones they care about, protecting their family and friends and loved ones and everything. So with this one, we don't know who his family is. We don't know if All Might has any other family. And this is clearly a very different kind of superhero setting in the sense that, you know, like, superheroes, I mean, they don't really... They haven't, like, All Might sounds like a superhero name, but it's clearly not like a person's name, like a human name. So that's his superhero alter ego. But what his actual real name is hasn't been revealed yet. So they still clearly have some sense of a secret identity, but at the same time, it's like, you know, I mean, yeah, I think again, well, you know. They did kind of show that villains still exist. There are still villains. There are still people with quirks who went down the dark side path, and they still became villains. So I think secret identities still exist in this, but that was explored in for the first like 2 episodes, I'd say, for the first 2 episodes, and then after that it was all about, you know, Izuku receiving this power from All Might, and then from then on, him training to receive the power, him receiving the power, him getting into UA, him working in UA. So since episode 3, I'd say, the focus has been on Izuku and All Might's relationship and their kind of growth together and like their work together, pretty much. So it's interesting now knowing that, you know, I mean, yeah, it's interesting now knowing that, you know, like his greatest secret right now, his greatest 2 secrets right now are the fact that, you know, he can't maintain this power for very long nowadays. And also that the power he got didn't start with him. It started with someone else way back when, and over the years, it's been passed down until someone, whoever it was, decided to actually pass it down to him, and then he became All Might. For all we know, All Might isn't even the official name of all the wielders. Like, All Might is just All Might. Like, the person we know now is All Might, but whoever used it before could have gone under a different name, could have been a different superhero, just many superheroes in the past, you know. I don't know. It might be cooler to have them all, to have it all being All Might, like, you know, generations of All Mights being the wielders of one for all. But then at the same time, I wouldn't be bothered if it was different people each time, like different people using the power to do different things. I mean, you know, because then that would open up somewhat more diversity to it in the sense that, you know, it's all different people using it for different reasons, potentially for heroism, but I think I think it would be interesting to know if there were any villains who actually had one for all. I mean, that would probably make front page news. Like, that would be talked about a lot more, I think. Yeah, because I think we have. I mean, yeah, Izuku would have known that then. Izuku would have known that because I think if there was ever a villain, like a person who went down the dark side with the power of one for all, or like Bakugo might have, But if there was a person like that in the past, then that would have been like that. I think that would have been mentioned already, especially by Izuku, who had like a whole booklet to himself of all of his research on powers and people and their histories and everything. So he would have known that. So I think I think the possible routes are either that it's only ever been used by heroes to heroes under different mantles, but it's only ever been used by heroes, or it's only ever been it's only ever been wielded by those under the mantle of All Might, and this All Might is the current one. So Izuku, I don't think he's going to become All Might. I can't see him becoming All Might. I can see him becoming he said he's Deku. Deku is the name of a hero, is what he said. He wants to be Deku. He's going to kind of somewhat change that cycle of being All Might. If that is a cycle, then he's going to be the first one to change it. He's going to be Deku instead, so that would be cool to see. But yeah, I think either way, it's I'm just curious to know what that kind of history is and where it's going to lead now with Izuku. But yeah, we also had Izuku telling Bakugo about the truth. I think he didn't say the whole truth. He censored it. He censored it pretty heavily. I think he told him someone else gave him the powers, but he can't tell him who. And also that, that's why he can't really, that's why he can't handle the powers as well, so it's why he can't actually, that's why he faces such massive, devastating backlash from his powers, but Bakugo didn't believe him. He didn't believe him. He's still so hung up on the idea of having been tricked by Izuku. He's still so hung up on the idea of having been tricked by Izuku all these years that he's not going to believe another word that comes out of his mouth. He's not going to believe it, and yeah, I think and especially the fact that he started it off with, oh really, you were given these powers by someone, that's just a load of BS, that's a load of crap. So I think it's the way quirks work in this world is that you're born with them or you're not, so Izuku is the first one to break that mold, to break that kind of narrow worldview and actually be the first one to be given a power by one of the greatest heroes of all time as well. So yeah, I think going forward, I think that's going to be an interesting development for him actually. I think he's going to have to keep that secret too. I think he either might have to, or he will be given the choice. Like, if you want, you can tell people that you were given these powers, but it's probably advisable that you don't, because then that would raise a lot more questions than I think even you're ready to answer. So they think that you're not ready to answer, even. But Bakugo didn't believe him, so he kind of said that, he's going to become a hero with or without the help of All Might or the UA. He's going to become a better hero, a bigger hero. He even said to All Might, I'm going to be a bigger, better, more famous hero than you ever were, even without your help. So he's left UA. That surprised me. Him leaving UA surprised me, because, he signed up to an official school with registration and everything. I don't know if there were fees or anything, but he signed up to an official school, and then the next day he just walks out. Or at least 2 days later, he just walks out. So I don't even know if that's allowed, because this is a superhero school with extremely limited kind of selection and application acceptance. So like a student going in and then just walking out the next day would presumably screw a lot of stuff up, screw a lot of the records up, screw a lot of the actual acceptance stuff up, and they'd have to reopen a slot, being like, okay, sure, if you want to go back in, because I don't know if everyone who graduated from the high school actually got in, though. Like, I don't know if there's been any mention of actually anyone being rejected. Because because Izuku applied before he got a quirk, and he still got in. So, the other kids, I think they presumably would have all gotten in, but I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works. But either way, him just leaving the school, I think it just kind of likely screws things up, and now he's going to try and go his own path, and now Izuku has now made his own stance and his own path now very clear. He said that he's going to go after Bakugo, like no matter what, he knows now what he has to do. He has to get through to Bakugo. So yeah, I think we're probably going to see him hunting Bakugo down every now and then and trying to see where he is and trying to get through to him, trying to talk to him. So how well that's going to work, I don't know, because again, Bakugo is very, very hung up on his pride and his ego and everything, so he's kind of just refusing to believe anything else. He's kind of, he's shocked, and I think, he feels like, Bakugo, none of the other kids were laughing at him. I think he was afraid of that. He was afraid of, the other kids laughing at the fact that he was actually beaten by Izuku, but none of the others were. Like, the most we saw was them actually congratulating him on beating Bakugo and actually befriending him, actually telling him how it was a cool strategy to actually hold his own against Bakugo for that long and then to use his quirk at the end and stuff like that. Like no one else was visibly laughing at him. But then him being him, he thinks that, if everyone doesn't think he's the best, then they surely must think he's the worst. And he can't possibly be anything other than the best. So now he's going to go on his own path to try and achieve that kind of pedestal for himself. So yeah, what his journey is going to be like now, I don't know. But he's left the UA, so he's going his own path, and I think that opens up the door for a lot more danger. Because if he runs into a villain, they could very, very easily exploit his kind of his like anger and his rage, and actually manipulate him into being the villain. I mean, he wants to be the hero. He wants to be the hero. He does want to be that hero, but then his ego means that he wants to be more than just a hero. He wants to be the one hero that's admired above all else, and the one that's celebrated above everyone else. So I don't think he's gonna actually be a villain in that sense, but he does have kind of darker, like he does have a darkness inside him. He does have a darkness, and I think that darkness is he's gonna it's the darkness that he's of his own making, I'd say, of his own making, because he grew up holding that kind of resentment towards Izuku and other people. No one else ever bothered to stop him. So now, again, he wants to be the hero, so I don't think he's going to fall too easily in with the villains, but at the same time, it's like, he might lead himself down his own dark path that Izuku's going to have to drag him out of, so where that goes, I don't know, but I'm interested to see it nonetheless. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got from this episode. It was a fun episode. I think it was good to actually, it was good they carried on the whole heroes versus villains thing. Like they didn't just end it with Izuku and Bakugo. They didn't just end it there just because it was them. They actually showcased other people's powers and other people's actual tactics as well. So it was good that they actually continued with that lesson, because it's what it actually was. So yeah, it's good to see that. All Might is fitting in, not well, but he's fitting in as a teacher. He's he even said at the end, like, being a teacher is hard. Like, he can't really talk his students out of leaving or feeling out of place there, or feeling like they're too good for this place. So seeing how All Might develops as a teacher is going to be fun to see. But yeah, seeing everything else go down in this was actually pretty cool. So yeah, that was a fun episode. But that is all I have. So that was My Hero Academia Season 1, Episode 8, titled Bakugo Start Line, which we will see him going down in the coming episodes. But yeah, that is it. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Comment on what you thought of the episode and what you think is up next time on My Hero Academia. And yeah, that's it. So I will see you guys next time.